Okay, so kind of sort of back. Been doing some work. Most of this is set up and ready to go. Some things I don't have all the way in, and make sure I can see the chat because I do technically have notifications, but I don't really have notifications set up. So I went through the trouble of setting them up a while ago for Lame Duck Studios Plays, but I haven't been on that channel very much, and I haven't transferred all that stuff. So we'll see. Um, I am slowly pushing out all the Resident Evil playthroughs. I did play through all of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Um, I did stream or record all that, or stream all that, or whatever it was. I think I did on like Twitch, but anyway, let me get where is that? There's the channel. Oh, there it is. I made an unfortunate discovery that the Metroid speedrun I did the other day, the audio did not record. Like the voiceover recorded, but the in-game audio did not record. So that was very sad. So I'll have to redo that. I have to get a better speedrun. Anyway, I did 2 hours and 24 minutes. I can totally do 2 hours. Probably do like 150 if I'm quick enough. Anyway, um, where's my dashboard? Okay, where's my content? And then live. I'm not stealing my wife's computer today because she's here. Okay, so make sure I have that up. I'm gonna go into there, mute myself on there. There we go. I'm in. Yay, and I can see what's going on. Um, I don't fully understand how all this works. I don't know how this works. Help me. Because I don't want to have this running at the same time, but I want to be able to see the chat. So I think the chat, what I'm seeing in chat is relative to what's happening on the position in stream. So like I'm trying to find a simplified way of being able to see everything, but I don't know. Two monitors would be handy, but my current station does not have two monitors. I just got a couple laptops because I'm lazy. All right. Anyway, getting on with this. So the majority of the rig is set up. I have IKFK FK switches set. Where's my rig? Here's my rig. Um, yeah, and then inside here, um, I've got my skeletons and stuff that are in there. I can turn those on and off. My geometry group has all my geometry in it. Um, and then I have my main control, which is outside of my controls. I kind of wanted all my controls to be in one pocket, but it was just simpler to have that under my main control. But then inside my controls, I got my IKFK stuffs. Oh, and then my rig systems, I'll turn those on. So what works on the rig here, is if I grab this, all that stuff follows, yay. This one works. I can switch um, IKFK. I did not go through the trouble of setting up the independent switches. So I ran into an issue with the two systems running into conflict with each other. So the main one, which I figured that might be a case, but so the main one, if I switch it to IK or FK, um, and then I go and I try to switch one of these guys because they're kind of this is a child of that, and those controls are a child. So the parent is going to override some of the things the child's doing, and so there's a conflict there. So I'm going to have to do some additional work to iron that out. But the majority of it works, and I really just wanted this as a bit of finesse. It's not necessary. Same thing with the hand controls. I wanted this for a little bit of finesse, so I could have some additional tweaking with the hands, but I don't really need to have that. Um, and yeah, so um, one thing I might do for my character definition though is since I don't have the hand controls set up, um, or the finger controls set up, I may want to add the fingers here. And it really just depends. I don't necessarily need to. Um, but it's just convenient because the motion capture captures the hand movement and the finger movement. So, um, but I can have that driven here. And then I also brought back in, where's my controls? So the head controls, those are separate. I can turn those on and off separately. I've got my right and left hand controls. Um, so for example, in here, I went back and I added in my fingers. They're hidden, so I'm not using them, but in the event that I want them back, they're available. I like the idea of having independent control, but I don't know if I'm going to need it. And um, as somebody once said, actually, I'll quote Burt Gummer because Burt Gummer is often quoted for saying this, which is it's better to need it than not have it than have it other way around. Better to have it and not need it than need it not have it, which is not always the case. I can get into that with Unreal a lot. Anyway, I guess I'm going to go ahead and set up the fingers real quick. So on my IKFK rig, just make sure that I'm on the rig definition. If you have a skeleton or a rig that has multiple skeletons, make sure your IKFK definition is targeting your root, um, your main skeleton. So I'm going to grab that thumb and I'll add that to here. Oh, it's locked. Why is that locked? Don't be locked. I didn't lock you. And then this one, and then the next one down. And I only have to do one hand, which is nice, because it should be able to auto grab from the other hand. So index finger, I'll add that in, and that one. Now, there are a few different ways of doing the hand. If you've looked at my uh, IKFK hand tutorial, I went through different methods of setting up the hand, and you pick the one that you like. I prefer having a single control for the fingers and then a master control for doing like the fist and that sort of thing. But I'm kind of lazy and don't want to set that up. But if you're only doing the one, let's say you have the one metacarpal, let's say this guy. If I move this and then these two naturally follow what it does, then you don't really need to set up the additional joints here. You just need to set up what this one's doing and then let that drive the rest of them. So, uh, however you want to do it. But anyway, I'm going to set these up just so I can get moving. Because the thing I really want to be testing is to make sure that not only is the rig going to work for what I want it to do, but also that the animations that I've made um, with the latest motion capture system is going to be compatible with what I want. Um, so now I do have this little extra pinky joint This is my little helper for closing. I could add this here, but really this is meant for the metacarpals, which is these guys. I don't really need to add those either, but that is there. If I wanted it, I would just add it to this one. But it's okay. So that's good there. I don't need to do the tips. Let me jump out of there, just make sure both hands have been registered. They have been. And then I'll take my current character definition and I will save over it. Um, this is Seldin mocap. And then I'll override. Okay, so those are in. And then these I'm going to turn off because I'm not using them. So inside of my rig systems thing, main switch I'm going to have on, but these I will turn off because I'm not using them for this example. Okay, and then I will save what I currently have. Yay. So I've been doing all this to really get this stuff inside of Unreal. So here's my Unreal project. This is Unreal 5.2. 5.3 is out, which is fine. I really need to update and be consistent. It's just annoying because when you're writing it in code, there's more steps you have to do to update things than if you're writing it just with the blueprint system. So kind of lazy on that. Just like with StarQuest. StarQuest is a complete source build. So it was built in UE5 source 5.2, but 5.3 is out now. So there you go. Oh, thank you. Hi, cat. But Unreal Source is like 300 gigs. It's crazy size. Um, if you look at my hard drive, the majority of what's being taken up space-wise is Unreal. So if I go over here, um, I've got my drives. This main drive here is I've only got a couple of gigs left, 167 gigs left on the primary drive because, a third of it is taken up just by Unreal. Just its existence is taking up so much space. So that's the thing. So if I want to if I want to update it to Unreal 5.3, I would have to remove that source build and then bring in the new source, recompile everything, and then um, connect the old version of the game, push it to the new version of the game, recompile it. There's a bunch of steps, so I haven't done it because I'm lazy. And I foresee a certain number of headaches, and right now it works, and I just don't want to go through the headaches of fixing it um, with the part that does work. So anyway, um, I'm kind of prattling on. Okay, so I need to remove a few things. I gotta get rid of this and this and that. So I'm gonna shut this part down. Gonna open up Unreal. Okay, so that's good and collapsed. And I've got the two files here. So one of the nice things about Unreal is you can just drag and drop from your old version for a lot of things. So let's make sure I'm on the right thing. So my D drive currently has that one and that. Okay. I just need to know which one I meant. Okay, so underscore is the newest one. I really should put the version type, but I didn't. I'm just gradually moving things over here. So inside of content, so textures, I think I can just steal the textures folder. Nothing else in content. I will copy the textures folder over. um, Particles, I went through a lot of work to build those. I'm just going to go ahead and move those over. Materials already moved. I'm not going to move maps just yet because the new map system in Unreal 5 for level chunking is a lot better. So I'm probably going to manually rebuild some of my maps um, from the other version. So I'm going to bring that in a bit, I think. Blueprints. Um, I don't know if I want to move any of the blueprints over. Um, I'll have to go through that one by one. Um, Skeletal meshes. I've got Lamoon and the updated version of the model. So I think I'll pull these in. We jump into skeletal meshes here. I'm going to nuke all that is currently here. Um, Actually, no, I'll nuke Steve. I'll nuke Mario. I brought some test things in that I wanted to see if they would just work with what I wanted. Lamoon can come back. I'll bring you in. And then updated. So Seldin inside the update, I'll just get rid of this. And then the pretty sure all this uses the same skeleton. So I'm gonna just move all this into here. Um, by same skeleton, I mean the same skeleton as the one that I'm currently building on. Mirror table data. I believe this is the old mirror table data from, well, it should be because it should be from Unreal 4. So I'm going to probably just nuke the mirror table data. I have it over here if I want it. The old version was a plugin that I tried using to flip the animations, and it kept turning the model inside out. Um, but the new one I've tested, and it seems to work. So I'm gonna, once I get this running, I'll retest it to make sure that's going to work, but it appeared to work when I tested it earlier. All right, animations. Let's see what animations I'm going to pull over. I did a lot of animations. I'm going to be redoing a bunch, but and you can see I did a test mirror. I'll get rid of Steve. I don't need him anymore. I'll get rid of Mario. Seldin, these are the old thingies inside of him, so I'm just going to get all that and just nuke it. And then the animations that are in here, let me bring in, there's Seldin. Let me bring in Lamoon. That's the little creature. Montages. I did go through a lot of trouble to build some montages, but if I bring them in, they're probably going to break. So I might just ignore uh, those for now. And then the standard animations for Seldon's motion. Um, I might be able to salvage some of that, but I want to see um, some other things. So we'll see. I think that's good for now. Most of this is going to be busted. Yeah, because I have to build for the new system. All right, so those are in. Let's go ahead and I'll just say ignore for that, and we'll rerun. And if I go to my content, you can see everything's loaded in, which is cool beans. And then the clothing pieces are here. Those are loaded in. These really should be under the textures. I don't know why those are here. Can I move these into textures safely? Textures. Okay. Textures, go to textures. Why are you being a jerk? Let me move things. I guess I'm just gonna have to drag it over. And then these materials, I'll move those into the materials folder. Yay. And then clothing, same deal. Not that this matters. I just like to be organized. And then materials. Make sure I save all. One important thing if you're doing if you're doing a coded build versus a blueprint build, um, be very vigilant on your saving because if you do something and you have to modify your code when you stop, so this is basically running as a debugger. Um, it's yeah, local Windows debugger or whatever it is. So if I hit stop, it'll rip that out of memory, close this, and any of those things I didn't save are gone. So just make sure that you're doing that. Um, anyway, so those are their blueprints. I have characters, and then here's Seldin's blueprint. I'll open the full blueprint for him and the viewport. And then actually I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to check the skeleton. That was the whole point of coming into here. It looks like it is the um, latest skeleton though. That's so there are those things that are on it. These groups are on the old skeleton. So that might be a conflict when I move things in. But I can try and see what happens. Show, let's do a character, bones, all hierarchy. Huh, just not seeing it. That's fun. Failing to load, game, mesh, clothing, find pose, can't find file. That's not cool. The mesh currently has no valid skeleton. Would you like to create a new one? No. That that's bothersome. All right, so I may have to export out. And then this one, yeah, that's the wrong physics asset anyway. Okay, so I'll cancel that. Cancel that. That's totally broken. Okay. This is why we check things. All right, so I'm gonna save, and then I'll come back here. I can stop this at any point, but I'll just go into here, just hit. But yeah, local Windows debugger is what that is. So I'm gonna have to re-export the skeleton and various mesh pieces. Guess I don't need that open. Where we want? Here. So what is currently bound? If I go to my geometry, things that are currently bound, I've got eyes. Let me go ahead and hide the skeleton there. And I'll also hide the controls. Look at those creepy eyes. I need to make his hair at some point. These have a long name, but they have the long name because I've been making changes to stuff, and I need to be consistent. All right, so this is the old skin. We turn him on old skin, which is fine. It's just very dense, and currently it's not rigged up anyway. So I'll hide the old skin. That's not going to be bound anyway. The one that's bound is the newer, lower resolution version of the skin. Although the eye is a bit buggy in here. I don't like that. I may just retopologize. I started doing a retop earlier, but we'll worry about that later. Anyway, um, so when you want the clothing to match, um, pretty easy. You take a body section. I made the main body already. And if I go to skin, I can come down to copy skin weights. Uh, what error did I get here? I can't read that, so tiny. Um, source and destination, yeah. Um, each individual piece of the skin needs to be bound. So let me go ahead and just hide the skin here. Hi, cat. And I'll bring up the skeleton. And then for that, I'll just grab the root here. Skin, bind skin, options. Um, I actually don't know if heat map will work for what I want. So I'm just gonna go with closest in distance, and then I will um, adjust the weights. So this is just these are just pre-skinning methods that attach the skeleton to the skin or whatever. Um, and you can make changes later. So I'm just going to do closest in distance here, and I will do 5 because that's what I did earlier. So that, and then this, and I'll just get all these pieces as well and apply it. Okay, so I should be able to close that, and they should all interact at this point. Where are the controls? I'll turn those back on. So if I grab this torso control and I bend, that should bend him. And if you want those to match, so there's probably going to be some mismatch. So if I were to raise this arm up like this, let's put his skin back on. It actually is not too bad. It does go into the shoulder a little bit. See if I can find a really good mismatch though. That bending, maybe. Let me turn it back on. Anyway, if you have a very um, noticeable mismatch, one of the things you can do is grab the mesh and then the clothing, and you can copy the skin weights to it. Um, so this part to that part, skin, copy skin weights. And now this should have identical skin weight data as the other part of the body there. Anything that doesn't have a one-to-one will just get ignored, so it's pretty handy. And you can see that's a lot better on that shoulder. I can do the same thing with the pants, body, and then pants. And then I can copy the skin weights again. And then I'll do the same thing on the feet. These will probably be okay, but I'm gonna check anyway. looks like it's doing its thing. But I'll take the body, if I can get you. I just grab from here. And then one of the boots. So where are the boots at? Man, I can't read this stuff. Left boot. And copy skin weights. And then this again, I'll do the right boot. And copy skin weights. So theoretically, those should have very identical movement at this point. Yeah. And as far as this bleeding through the shoe, realistically, if you're going to have a character that can change clothing, the parts of the body that are completely hidden by the clothing will not be there. So the feet will be completely hidden. The legs would be completely hidden if he's wearing pants. If he's wearing shorts, then you'd have a portion of the thigh that's still visible or whatever. Anyway, so those are set and ready to go. I'll just save here. Let me open up the skeleton. I don't think I have any groups directly on the skeleton, so I'm going to go through and just look for groups here. I do not. All right, so I'm going to grab the root, and I'm going to get Seldin's various pieces. So his skin, pants, boots, belt. Oh, I didn't do the belt. Let me see if I did the belt. Belt is bound, but does the belt share skin weights? So you and belt. Copy skin weights. Much better. All right. So skeleton. And then I need his various skin pieces. So all of the skin that goes with him. And that'll be my export geometry. So export selection. I'll put this into the appropriate folder here. And this will just be the Seldin bind pose FBX. Very important if you're going into Unreal, you do need to have smoothing groups checked. It will throw you an error. Well, it's not really an error, it's just a warning, but it'll throw a flag. And then I don't have any animation baked, so I want to uncheck that, and then I can export. Let's see, skin definitions. Got some issues with those. Some constraints. The scene contains constraints. Activate the export constraints or bake the animations or whatever not. And I don't want the constraints to go with, so this warning is basically just telling me that they didn't go, which is fine. I don't want the constraints to go with. Let's see. I'm able to find the bind pose for Seldin rig, for the boot, or the spine, or these. That's probably okay. All right, so that is exported, and let's bring that into Unreal. Hmm. Now this is just oh, I never did remove those, huh? That was part of what I was gonna do when I closed this. Oh, all right. Make sure I'm in the right one. those are the animations for the previous one. I don't want those. Let's go back in. I'll get a D drive. I know, I shouldn't show what my drives are. I'm not that important to be hacked. Although I've been hacked a few times. Alright, so content, skeletal meshes, Seldin, and I'll get rid of those things. And then inside the clothing, I'll remove all the clothing items as well. So at the moment, I exported Seldon and all the clothing pieces as a single group. So I won't be able to remove any of those pieces. It's just gonna be one continuous thing. Um, Later on, if I want to have individual pieces, um, I need to export those individually. But it's okay. This is, as Ian Malcolm would say, this is just an example. All right, so I'm gonna go into here. Where is my projects? Default scenes. And where's my folder? Seldon. There we go. So we're gonna take his bind pose and we'll bring that in. Did did I? Okay, I have to hit play. Now I can't just drag the bind pose into the folder there. That would not do well for me. I need to import him properly. All right, so I'll come back into here. These are empty now. And then I can import. I'll just drag in. Yes. All right. So I want to bring in the skeletal mesh, and I want to import the mesh. Yes. He has no current skeleton, and I'm not doing any rotations on import. I think reset defaults is fine. I don't have any animations, so that's fine there. And then import. Failed to import the asset. Where I see following bones are missing from the bind pose. That's a dirty lie. Um, okay, now that could be a thing. Why did it bring these in? All right. Well, that's annoying. Main skeleton looks correct, but it looks like it brought in the IKFK roots, which it should not have done. All right, well, I'm gonna just close that and just don't save. Ugh, I don't want to have to go through that process. I'm just gonna export these two pieces and see what happens. Let's see. So I don't want my constraints to go. Um, I don't have any expressions, but I will uncheck expressions as well. History I'll leave just because of the skin weights. I'll just export over that. We'll see how this comes in. Yeah, yeah. All right, Seldin, let's put you back in here. And every time it like revs up like that, I'm like, it's about to explode. Preparing skinned assets. Taking a minute to prepare. A lot of a minute. Several minutes. Hmm. Question is it stuck? Or is it actually working? Well, it's currently working. I don't trust it. It's working. Allegedly. Um, don't be lame. Come on now. Unreal seems to be on the locked side of things. Well, allegedly, it's still working. I will give it one more minute and then I will shut it down. Huh. Apparently, they're at 0. There's some memory adjustment going on. Unfortunately, I think it's just toast. All right, well. Upside about doing it through here is I can just kill it. All right, let's go back to Maya. Huh. So that had some issues on the export. Let's see what other default file stuff. We're not exporting cameras, even though I don't have this selected. No lights, no audio files, no bit of media connections. Well, with the constraints turned off, I should not have to worry about that. Like, so including the children makes sense because it's a hierarchy. Any input connections, um, anything that drives another thing, would be an input connection on the receiver. Bizarre. Okay. Well, I will. This is the way I'll do it. I hate to do it this way, but it's leaving me no choice. Save the current project before I do this. So I'll open up the main skeleton, which I have right here. I'm going to grab all the constraints on the skeleton, which is an annoying thing to do. The whole point of having a button to check that says do not include these is so that I can check a button and tell it not to include these. There's a lot of constraints. Uh, there's so much added risk to doing it this way. Plus, it's tedious. Not even sure what that one's for, but I'm just going to nuke it. So I'll nuke the constraints. I will pull this skeleton out of this skeleton group, and then I will just grab the geometry and I'll pull it out of the geometry group. And now I will just export um, him in that. Um, and those. Then I'll re-export over this. Yeah, I understand, but I've nuked all the other things, so let's try importing that. That worked. Man, you get something to drink. Um, let's just check how that is. All the bones are there. That toe. It's the grayed out bones are ones that aren't skinned to anything. Um, you get a drink real quick because coughing is lame. Ugh. Ah, right. I was half tempted to get eggnog. It's non-alcoholic. I don't drink alcohol. Life, on the other hand. Okay. So any joints that are not skinned to anything will be grayed out. And that's fine because I haven't gone through and skinned all the facial controls, and I have not gone through. And there are some joints that just aren't skinned, like the toe joint here. That's not skinned to anything. I mean, kind of, sort of is, but not really. You can see this one's just not. The foot has a main skinning data, but this probably has nothing on it. And that's fine. This is just for the test to see if this is going to run. And there's no additional stuff on here. I don't have any additional groups, no weird things on there. That's good. Um, Downside is I had to strip everything from the skeleton, which is why I saved it before um, moving on, just because I don't want to have to undo and miss something. So I'll just reopen the file. Okay, so everything else should be back to normal, and I should be able to do some. Yeah, that's very unnatural, but it does look like it hurts. And then these things here, not that I really need to worry about moving them, but I'm going to. Let's put them back into materials, move there. I'm hoping Unreal is smart enough to replace anything that needs to be replaced. It's usually pretty good. Also, it looks like it crashed. Of course it did. As much as I like Unreal over Unity, Unity crashes less often. Mm. So you're telling me I should do that when it's closed. Great. Are you frozen again? You're supposed to give me outputs here. What is the point of having a task manager if it's not going to task you things? When I moved this stuff earlier, it wasn't that big of a deal. All right. Let's go back in. I'll cry a little bit, and then I'll hit play. All right, let's try this again. 500 times the charm. So interesting. We've seen from the previous moment ago that it did import without any issue. Well, I mean, there were issues, but it did successfully import. Um, this time it got stuck again. Ugh. Fantastic. Unreal, you're not doing a good job at showing people why you should be used over others. Seriously. Oh. We'll try this once more. Let's give a few seconds for that memory to clear. Not that I should have to wait, but look, Task Manager has itself. Let me see what's going on with that. So, sorry, just checking the chat there. Okay, let's try again. Huh. You ever just want to throw something? I'm definitely at that point. I just want to test this thing. I don't want to have to deal with that nonsense. Oh, yeah, they said the definition of insanity is trying the same thing and expecting a different result. But we have seen with modern computers that you certainly can try the same thing over and over again and get different results. Oh, I'll try the import all button this time. Even though functionally they're the same thing, except import all assumes that there's more than one object to import. All right, so the only thing I can think of is bad memory. There's no reason it would work and then not work with no changes. So that's I don't know. Nor do I care. I'm gonna move on because I've got other things to do with my day. All right, so um, at some point I'm gonna get this goofy thing in there, and this has already been set and saved, I think. Um, is that fixed? Oh, that is not fixed. So before I was talking about how I like having independent control over these, but one of the issues I ran into, if I move on, let's open up, um, where are you? I think this is the one. So I have these connected, and you can see, um, where's my human IK experience? We'll connect those. Um, it's complaining about the skeletons, I think, not matching. I can't read it though. This is my, here we go. Oh, warning. The default image may not be modified. No, I don't think that's it. This one. Reference character cannot be locked or unlocked. Is it assuming they are? Okay. Weird. That's a bizarre thing. Are these working? They are. Where is um hmm. That's bizarre. That should totally be those are in, but on you, you should totally have that, right? Yeah. Is there a reason you're breaking? It's probably because OBS is running, honestly. I'll just do it over again. All right, I'm gonna create a reference to my character. So one of the benefits of using a reference is changes made to the reference update. Um, where are documents? Where's Maya? Come on now. Default scenes somewhere. And then this is Seldin, and I want to use this one. All right, and then I also want to bring in a reference of the motion capture data, which is stored. Hey, kitten. Oh, not on. Don't. You're wet, and you're on the laptop. Come on now. All the jokes. Hi. Let me dry you off. Let me dry you off. So, I don't know if you've ever met Popo, but this is Popo. Popo is the devil, but also really cute. She's so pretty. Hi. Hi. Here, let me dry you off. You were out there in the rain. Hi. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna dry you off. That's right. Try this. That's right. That's right. Perfect. Second. Hi. She's cute. Okay, so I need to get the animation data. That's from here. Mismatch. Yeah, let me make sure I match up the timelines here. And let's see if we can attach it. Like it was, I literally was doing this before I ran. Ugh. This is not a new process. But now it says I can't do that. And I haven't damaged the skeleton. I made sure not to save that. So it's telling me what bum, bum, bum. Reference character cannot be locked or unlocked. The question is why? It is. You got me. I have no idea. What is that? It's set to IK, FK, which is what it should be set to. What are my controls set to? Yeah, those are how those should be. But I can't set him. Anyway, I was going through the whole point of using a reference is that changes that you make on a reference update later. So I've referenced my character, and if I were to make a change to the character, so right now you can see that the hips are not attached to the legs here. But if I go into the main file and save it where the legs are attached to the hip, when I open up anything that shares that reference, those would update to that file, which is a bit more useful than saving out individual versions of a character. You know what I mean? Um, that way you can always go back and make changes on the reference, and then they all change. That's where the benefit is. But for some reason, this guy is being a pain, does not want to cooperate. Let me make sure he's functional. Yeah, that will go in there. It's not locked. But it can't be locked or unlocked, so. Wonder why. Don't think I made any major changes in the previous file. Uh, Up a level. Here's my reference test file. Nothing really on it though. Right, so this one is referencing my reference, and you can see that here, um, some of the controls are hidden. If I go to the main file, let's see how that looks. All those are on. Let me just pull the stuff into here. I'll create a reference to the motion capture data here. Let's update. If it breaks here, then I know the problem is here. So I'll set that back to 0, and we'll match frame. And it works here. So why is it not working on the other file? You got me. I have no idea. I have to dig and find out, because that's weird. Anyway, one of the issues I wanted to show you on the rig, I can't save this file though, is here. So you can see my legs are shifted. This is happening. This is happening here because these are not parented to the skeleton here, or to the these controls are not parented to this control. Um, I'm not sure why that's causing an offset issue, but that is what the issue is. My guess is that, and that really doesn't make any sense, but my guess is it's trying to match a hierarchy. Um, but I don't know. I don't know why that's off. But I know that's the issue. I just don't know why. And I only know it's the issue because I was tinkering with it. And I was like, well, let's see if that's the thing, and that was the thing. So if I unreference, if I go back to none, put him back as he was. Let me just grab his controls here. And I never really cleaned this up, so there's not a convenient way to grab all the controls. But I can make a selection set that only grabs the controls, um, which I should do anyway. It's just much easier to work with a selection set. So next, let me go ahead and do that. So I'll fix this, and I'll also make a selection set. So I'm going to go and just reopen my main file here. All right. And these little things down here are selection sets. You have a couple default ones, but you can make a selection set out of anything. So if I go in here, um, let me just go ahead and open up all my controls. So I'll get my main control, and then pelvis, chest, and I'm doing all the IKs real quick. So I'm just gonna go through and grab all of the IK controls. Um, that guy, that guy. And that's a mistake. Hold on. Let me do it this way. Just because I have a few things in here that I shouldn't grab. So I'll do it from here. I'll grab this. And it shows that I have uh, a couple things on there, but I'll just grab this one, this, that, that. This, that, 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 and that. Did I do the leg already? I think so. Let's go down and check. So I shouldn't have any gaps, right? And look, I do have a gap. I'm missing this one, that one. Which is why I grabbed in the hierarchy, because I can just see them, and it's more convenient to grab here. But I want to be careful I'm not grabbing things that I don't want. I'm going to scroll down. Um, I'm not going to do I'm not going to do the hand controls or the pinky controls in this particular instance, because those aren't set up, and I can always add them to my set later. So if I grab those, let's see. So under create, we have sets, and then we have a new set. And I can name it. This is going to be FK selection. Right? So if I want to grab all of my FK controls, I can grab this, and in that drop down, they're all here. And it's a quick way of getting all of my controls um, ready to go. And then I don't have to worry about accidentally grabbing all of the things that are in between, like all the groups, all of those. I don't have to worry about that. And I can do the same thing for my IK. So if I grab this um, IK, so this, I'm going to go through and grab all but the spine controls. Those are the ones that are going to be a bit weird. Okay, so actually I can just grab them. Knowing what I'm grabbing is fine. So I want these spine middle, lower. I don't think I want the actual spine control. So I should have a middle, lower, and an upper. And then I have my foot controls. We've got a knee control. And then foot controls, knee control. But where is the upper back, upper spine control? I see the regular spine control. I've got the shoulder controls. I believe that's a chest control. My chest control is my upper back control. Yep. All right, so I have all those. And I don't think I grabbed anything weird. The spine control here, that one is the curve that runs through here. I never actually want to select that, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But I can make a selection set out of that. So create sets, and this will be my IK um, selection. So then down here, I have these selection sets that I can grab. And I can always go here and just hit set member or select members, and I've got those. Same thing with this. Select members, and then I've got those. And then I can save. And then the thing that I was going to fix in here was the leg situation. But I wanted to show that because in the event that you're in the same boat, you'd be able to see it. So in here, I just want to make sure that my leg is a child, or my leg control is a child of the pelvis control in this case, because that's how my hierarchy is set up. The other one is not nearly as loud as you. Oh, that's Misty, by the way. But this control is currently sitting underneath if I go up here, that control is currently sitting underneath an offset group. So I want the offset group of that one. I also want the offset group of the other one. And those I'm going to parent under the handle itself. So I'm going to grab that handle, and then I can parent those like that. And these still have their current offsets, which is good, and their offset groups um, hopefully are oriented the correct way. That's oriented to there, that one's oriented to there. And if I get the offset group for that or the offset group for that, they're the same. Okay, so those have been set. So now if I were to hook up um, that animation asset, it should be configured uh, in the right way. All right, so I got him. Let's double check this thing. Character definition. Those are all in. I think that's fine. All right. I'll just make a new file. And I will reference my character. So come back up. Oh, it's got me in Access Studio. I want to be in Maya. You don't think I changed any of the settings here? Maybe I accidentally hit something, but I don't think so. So here he is. Yeah. Let me see if I can connect it to the other reference. So that reference is in. Frame rate mismatch. Just because the animation data is at 60 frames and I'm currently set to 24. So I just set those. Yeah, it's giving me. Why do you make that irritating noise? That is the most irritating thing in the world, man. If I wanted a baby, I would have one. That's awful. Glass in the ears, nails on chalkboard, whatever you want to call it. That's the most awful sound. No, that's just as bad. You got to bring it down a few. No, that's that you're still shrieking. That is still the shrieking sound. Mm. Maybe it's just 20 years of that sound, but that is a painful sound. What? What? Okay. So same error or same issue, which is bizarre. Let me go to that skeleton. Um, oh, I see. I see indeed. That one's got hands and that, but there's no foot reference. Okay. It should have a foot reference. Let's see if I can add it um, for the moment. Oh, that's awful. Can't see what I'm doing. This is the right foot, and this is the left foot. Okay. But it still won't let me assign it. That's weird. But it's only doing that to my reference. Huh. But why is it only doing it to the reference? Well, that seems to be an odd one. Hmm. I literally had no problems with this earlier, and now I'm having an issue with it. I don't know what to do about that error. Where's my script editor? I think what I need to do, I'm gonna save this. Let me save this file. I'll actually save it over this test one. Let me go ahead and open the original. And on my definition, see if I can lock this and save. And now let's see what happens if I go back over. The definition should be locked here. See if I can set it now. And I can. So the issue was my character definition needed to be locked for this, but it would not lock here because it couldn't lock the reference. Because it can't modify the reference information. So that's what that issue was. Um, but you can see that if I go back to the original reference, if I go back to the original and I make a change, that populates on future versions of it, which is great because now I can do what I need to do here, right? And I know for this particular animation, it was 10, 5, 7, 8 for the number of frames because there was a lot of animation data on there. Okay. Now, one of the little tricks you can do, so I have a lot of frames on here. And you can see the leg situation's fixed as well because I parented that back. Anyway, so I want to get these idle poses, but I want to bake the current data onto my skeleton. So let's try to do that. Let's go to my rig. And I can do that here, or I can do it um, on my control rig. And currently this is setting only rotation data. Allegedly, this is setting only rotation data. So map rotations. I can also map translations, but I currently have it only set to map rotations. And as I'm watching, yeah, this should only be rotation data being transferred, and it is. Huh. I guess you can make all the jokes you want there. That's a skin weighting issue. So the middle of the pants is thinking it's supposed to be skin weighted um, over here, but it really should be skin weighted to the pelvis. That's why we're getting that. Get your chuckles out. So you'll see as he gets closer to the main position, right? And as he walks away, part of that mesh is being pulled. But that's okay. That's a skin weighting thing. So the main skeleton, I'll have to go back and fix the skin weights too. But the animation skeleton does not have to have skin weight data, which is handy. All right, so I want to bake stuff onto him. So I'll go back to my IK. Or yeah, whatever it's called. And I can't quite see what I'm doing, but it's cache playback. Okay. Um, all right. Anyway, so I can go up here and I can do I can bake. I can bake to the custom rig, or if I go back to the definition, um, so it won't let me do just the skeleton because I have a rig on there. So I'm just gonna go back and bake to the rig. And there's a lot of frames to be baked, so it's gonna go through and bake them all. The other option for that, it won't let me do it while it's running, is to go to the animation setting, select all of your controls, and then bake. Um, but since all of those controls are currently referenced in the definition, I don't have to do that because they're already selected in that reference. So it's almost 4 o'clock. And my poor laptop is trying to bake all these frames with OBS running and whatever that abomination is for Unreal. Now, I don't have to bake the whole thing. Um, Realistically, I only need to bake the part of the animation that I want to keep, and then the rest of it is is extra. So, for example, like the character doing this little sway motion, uh, that I do want to keep, but I don't really want the other stuff. I also want the character to do the stepping turn. So the stepping turn part I want, um, but I'm gonna have to do some work on it. So this uses a lot of root motion, which is handy, but you can see the root position is not correct. The root position is way here and he's over there. And the reason for that is when I did the animation, I was not center of the screen to run it. But there's a simple way of fixing that. It's not gonna look pretty, but it will. I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, so all that's baked, theoretically. Grab a control. I should see data. Yes. I can then go to the reference that I have. Um, so here is the reference for the stance. I'm going to go ahead and just remove that. So reference, and then I can remove this one, and it should pull out all the things that are referencing it. Okay, and then I should be able to get that. Yeah, all this stuff. So now I want to find, let's say I'm happy with this, and I'm going to save this out as a new file here. So let's do save, and this will be, I'll do Seldin underscore, this is going to be idle. I'll do idle stance. I'll do raw because this is the raw data. I haven't really done any work on it. And I'll put this in my mocap file and I'll make a folder in here. I'll just call this raw. And I'll save that here. That way, when I start stripping things out, I can have the appropriate thing. So right now I'm in T pose. I don't really care about being in a T pose. I only care about the initial idle position. So I'm going to let him get into an idle position. And let me go ahead and fix this thing. So um, I'll go back to the original model here. So what's going on there is pretty hilarious, but simple. So I need to move the character. Um, Let me see if it's just, yeah, so I can just move this off to here. So it's both, yeah, both pieces, both the pants and that. But since I can copy the skin weights, so I only need to do the body. So I'm gonna hide the pants. Um, I guess I should give a PG-13 warning or rated R warning or NC-17 warning. He doesn't have any junk, but it looks like he does. So where are the pants? Why can't I see that? There they are. All right, hide the pants. It looks like part of the shirt got that as well. That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm gonna take the skin and I'll go up to skin and then skin weight paint. Let me close the outliner because it's not very helpful at the moment. And this all thinks it belongs to the root. You can see that down here. It thinks it belongs to the root. But that does not belong to the root. That belongs to the pelvis joint here. So I really should take the time and make that pretty, but I'm not going to. First thing I'll do is go to the root, and the root should not have anything weighted to the root. Um, so easiest thing to do here is to go take the root value. So I'm on the root here, and I go down to the value. I'll set it to 0 and just hit flood. And that actually did nothing. That should have totally made a change there. Oh, I need to set the root to replace. I had on add, so we'll flood that. Okay, now that's been flooded. Let's see what happens if I go to the pelvis. It looks about right, but I won't know until I actually make changes to the model. So I'll go back, I'll grab this, and I'll set that back to 0. And the only way to really tell if this is working is to grab parts of the model and move it. So here's the leg. Check under here. It looks like that looks about right. The gi would not do this, you know? So if I were really caring about how this is working, I would go and make sure that the shirt does not melt to the body like that. Um, that lower portion of the shirt would be better if it were cloth hem anyway. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but that is better than what it was. So that's fine. And I'll just set that back to 0. But then I can take um, this, and then I can take that skin, and then copy the skin weights. Yeah, do the same thing to the belt. And then I'll turn the pants back on. So I'll get this, and then I'll turn on the pants. Let me turn the pants on first. So body, and then the pants. And then copy skin weights. And then, theoretically, they're all behaving correctly. And if I move the model out of position, it doesn't look like he's being um, silly. Let's turn the tool settings off. Everything else is good there. I can save this. And again, since we have the main file, I can always go back to my motion capture setting. And here we are. And you can see that he's doing all he needs, but he no longer has the strange thing happening there. All right, so now I want to find the moment in time that I want to capture. So I want to get him into position, and that's really going to be, because you can see here, like I'm checking my feet and whatever I'm doing, and now I'm going to get into my idle position. So it looks like it happens right around frame 756. So I'm going to jump in, I'm going to do frame 740, and then that runs 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I do about 4 sessions, and I do that till about 1467. So I'll drop this down to 1467. It's still a lot more frames than I want, and it's got a lot happening, but I can get in here and be a bit more precise. So, you can see I'm kind of like dilly-dallying, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And then right around 860, it looks like, is when I actually start transitioning. Waiting, waiting, waiting. 920 starts. Okay, so 920. And this is what all I'm doing is I'm going down through the animation. Whoops. And just trying to find the part that I think is what I want to capture. So 920. And I really only want one sway and then a repeat. So I did a couple just to make it easier to capture one, but I only need one of these. So I'm in this position, I move forward, then I move back, and then just before I move forward again. So it looks like frame 1000 is good. And then I'm just going to run it to see. So it's pretty good. We have a very consistent motion. There's a bit of a snap here. But that's manageable, right? And I can say, hey, I like this bit of animation, and then I can strip out the parts that I don't need. So this one, that's very painful. You should really stop that. What? What? You have food. You still have food. Mm. You can sit over here. I just don't want you screaming in my ear. Okay. Anyway, so we got that. Um, and I can save this out as a different file. So I'll do file, save scene as. Um, and let's say he's facing. What's my default facing position? Maybe he's facing to the right, because in Unreal, he would be naturally facing that way. So stance right. This is still raw, but I can save here. And then I can strip out the stuff that I don't need. So I'm going to go up to Window, and realistically, I can just take my selection set here. So I'll show you both. If I go to Windows and then I go to my animation editor and then my graph editor, let me select my, where's my IKFK? The downside about doing this as a reference is it takes the whole name of things, so you have to kind of read it. So this is my IKFK selection. That's so annoying. IKFK selection. So here's my FK, which is what I recorded this in, and I'll select all. But now you can see the data that's here. So this is all the animation data, and you can see the window of capture, which is this. We have dark gray, and then we have light gray. So anything outside of this range is stuff that I don't need, and I can very easily come over here, grab these, and then just hit delete and remove them. And then I can grab the other ones on that side and delete and remove them. That I can totally do. Um, However, I might be able to get away with um, baking maybe a third of the frames from here, which will give me a little bit of wiggle room between my first frame and my last frame. So like if I really want all of this information, that's good, but my first frame, my last frame have to be identical for this to work. So let's try this. Let me first remove um, all this stuff. Let's go up to, all those are selected, right? So I'll go up to changes to animation key. Let me try to bake simulation. Um, I don't have a reference, so if I bake this, I'm curious to see if it'll bake the simulation, and then um, I'm curious to see what it'll do if I have a single reference. Let's try that. So I'm going to say sample every third frame, and I'll apply. There we go. So here's that animation, and I'll play it, and it's not terrible. It works pretty well. Now, of course, if you want to keep all those frames, you're more than welcome to. I don't think all those frames are necessary, so I strip some of them out, and that's going to help me interpolate some things later. But this looks pretty decent. And what's one of the cool things about doing it that way is, where's my animation graph? Is that you? Let's see what we got here. Look at that. The area in between got ignored, right? So this stuff, you can see it has all the frames, and this stuff here has every third frame, and then over here it's all the frames. So you can see how I'm isolating just that piece that I want, which is kind of neat. Um, so there's that. And actually, I want between. Yeah, I think that's good. Now, if you want to see what you're losing by doing that, if I Control Z and go back before that, um, if you were to take the reference animation data and then this one and put them side by side, then you could see it a lot easier. Mm, all kinds of peeps. So let's see what we got here. So some of the things that you're going to lose if you do it that way There are a lot of little subtle things in the motion, subtle little quirks or jitters or whatever not. Um, if you want all that stuff, of course, keep every frame. Um, I don't think it's all that important though. I think I'm okay letting Maya do some interpolation. But you can see if you watch like the way the shoulders bounce. So if I'm swaying, you can just kind of see the weight. My body carries a lot of weight with it. And then, yeah, and then if I do that, but then I do, um, and actually I'll bring that reference back in. And I think I should be able to see both. All right, so now I have both skeletons that are behaving. And then I'll take my FK selection set, and I will bake those every third frame. Yeah, bake it. Okay. And now let's see them side by side here. Really hard to tell. Where is my character? Geometry. I'll turn the geometry off. Let's turn the controls off. Um, There's the rig. That's the skeleton. Controls. All right. And now we can watch them perform side by side. And it doesn't look like I lost a whole lot. Let's check the shoulder movement here. Yeah, I didn't lose a whole lot. The important bit of information is still there. There are some um, subtle bits of information that did get stripped out, but it's so subtle, I don't think I'm going to even notice it. Yeah, I think I'm good. So let me remove the old reference again. Careful I don't remove my main reference because that would just break everything. Okay, so let's say I like this guy, and oh, I have to get that selection again. I can strip out all this stuff. I'm just stripping out everything before and after. That's going to take a minute because there's a lot of data. Okay. Where's my simulation? Um, she's she's in there bothering Mama. Okay. Now, one of the settings I wanted to come in and just double check. Inside your bake simulation, there is an option where it says keep unbaked keys. So if I uncheck that, we go ahead and apply. And if I look at this, you can see it will strip out those keys for me, the keys that I don't want, or all the keys that I don't want, it cuts them out for me. See, I told you she'll show you what she wants.
Yeah. What? Use food.
That's what I said.
Food. You're not getting fresh food. Forget it. You're really good food. Expensive ass.
Hey, this is a recording. All right, now I have to edit. I have to edit that out.
Go on.
Ugh.
Look.
What moment in time did that occur? Oh, it's painful. Stop.
What's that?
I know she's such a pain.
She decided to go in the room. For like maybe she had to go to the bathroom. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
Mm. She might be wanting the litter box changed. She can be quite vocal. But anyway, so you can see you can strip them out that way, or by unchecking this little guy here, you can strip them all out. Anyway, so assuming you're happy with what you got, we can then set these back to 0. So I'm gonna go ahead and just in here. There's another cat. Does that give you some joy? Select the keys that you want to keep, and then let's go ahead and set this position to 0. Where is 0? Oh, that is so awful. That's better. That was much better. Thank you. She toned it down. All right, so I can set this to 0. Oops, I'm setting the wrong thing. Uh, normally the slider position is up here, but I can't see it. So I'm gonna do it down here. I'm gonna take the frame and just set it to 0 there. And what that's gonna do, yeah, normally you can see it up here. I can't see it. Maybe I'm blind. I mean, I know I am, but anyway, now that's at 0. So I have a reference of where I need to get to. And then I can hold shift, and then I can hold the middle mouse button. It gives you a little question mark, but it lets me move this over, and I can get close to in here. Now as I get close, I'm gonna have to just zoom in because I just can't quite see. But now I can see the individual keys that are here. And I can middle mouse drag that, and I can just snap that to my starting key. And I'm actually gonna snap it to key 1 because most of the time we don't start at 0. Most of the time we start at 1. 0 is usually left for like a reference pose. So there's my key at 1. And I'll set this back to 1, and then I'll set my ending frame. What's my last frame there? It helps if I can actually see. And then my last frame is 81. That's convenient. So 81. So 1 to 81. There are my frames. me do 82. That's not 82. Okay. It just looked like it was a gap, and that bothered me. So 81 is fine. And that actually makes sense because, multiples of 9 gets you to 81, and we're doing in multiples of 3, and 3 is a multiple of 9. So anyway, so we have this, and I like the animation. I'm not sure why he's looking up. That's an odd thing. Maybe I left something behind. I don't think I did, though. You know what I left behind? Um, the neck joints. They're on a different selection set because the way that I have this divided, my IK joints or my IK and FK joints run through the hand, but the hand and face joints are separate, and I did not create selection sets for them, which means that they're out there in the ether somewhere. It's okay. Um, where are they? I feel like Dory. Where are they? Controls. Where's my head controls? Let's turn controls on. I'll turn the. Oh, really? Oh, that's apparent. That's why. Um, I can't turn that off because that's driven by that. But here are my head controls. There we go. I really should make a selection set for those. But here they are. You can see he's just kind of like doing whatever. Interesting. I do have those on that set? Question mark. I don't think I have the head controls on there. I see chest, shoulder, main. Let me just look for shoulder. I don't think it's case sensitive in this case. Okay. Well, he's looking around because those controls are being driven somewhere. I just don't know where they're at. Um, but yeah, this control, let's see, it's still being driven. So where are you? If I go into here, that has all the stuff. Yeah, it's okay. we can still get it. So the reason that's showing up is when I select everything, if I select this and, that, and then maybe this, the last thing on the selection list turns white, the new thing turns blue or green, which is why that looks like it's selected, but it's not. That's just a trick on the hierarchy. But neck is there, head, and then this one. So these three I need to bake as well. So where was I at before? I was at um it might just be easier to control Z a couple times and get back to there because that way I don't have to track back. So I'm just gonna do that. And I'll keep this window open so I know what's happening. Really? Maybe I can't go back that far. What? You not feeling good? What? There we go. Kitty cat throwing up. Yeah, let me get some. Normally she throws up on my bed. Are you done? Cats are so weird when they throw up. Also, are you alive? Also, I found a lizard. Oh, kind of feel bad because I gotta put him outside. It's cold outside. Hi, hi. Anyway, cats are weird because when they throw up, for some reason, they always move to a new spot. So they'll puke a little bit and then they'll move a few inches and then puke a little bit more. And then they'll move a few inches and then puke a little more. So what you end up with is a trail of cat vomit everywhere. Where was I at? And how many frames do I have back? Uh, okay. All right. It's going through all my selections. One of those selections is to repaste in all the frames that we cut. Hmm. All right, 920 to 1000, I think should be all of them. Okay, that's as far as I can go, which is fine because I have the majority of what I need in that selection. So let's turn on the controls. I'll get all the controls from my selection set there. And then I also want um, my head controls. So that one, this one, and then that one. So I've got those. And then I will just rebake every third frame. So key, bake every third. And I do want to remove all the extra keyframes this time. So now the head should go with the rest of everything else. Okay, good. And then back in here, again, I'm going to set this to frame one. And I will just select all these. I don't think I'm missing anything. Hopefully I'm not. And then once again, as I'm doing this, I'm holding shift and middle mouse dragging. And we're doing between frame 1 and frame 81. Okay, good. And then I'm happy with that. I can save this at this point. This is my stance to the right raw. Assuming I have no other animations that we're missing or whatever not, but I can always do it again. Let's say you have that and you're happy with it, but you want the character to be where the character needs to be. So one of the issues you might have run into is when you do um, your matching animations with your reference, you can see that he's kind of floating in the air, which is really annoying. I still don't know why that does that, but um, we're going to take the body here. We're going to go back to frame 0. And what I want to do is I want to go across all the frames for the pelvis. So I'm going to make sure I have the pelvis grabbed, and I want that to be lower um, on here. So I'm going to go, I'm actually going to hit W and then hold left click to go to world. I'll just use the world adjustment here and set that back. So really, I should be able to set this to 0 on that. Um, and I should have only grabbed, um, I'm not going to set anything, so if I move, it just goes back. But pretty much all the joints should only have rotation data, with the exception of um, the pelvis. You can see that some of the joints do have some extra data on it that they shouldn't have, which is really bizarre because I was only capturing. Let me go back to here. Yeah, could have sworn I only had um, rotation data set, but it's okay. That one captured rotations only. That captured rotation only. That captured rotation only. So did that. That one. But this one, the foot, the foot, but these guys did not. They captured some extra stuff. That's okay. We can get a lot of that stuff out of what we're doing. So if I grab just that control and I go into here, you can see um, all the things that are happening. So I have my translate Y, for example. You can see I have a lot of shifting on that translate Y, and my X and this. So if you really wanted to, you could very quickly set these to 0 and be done with it. But that might not give you the result that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this. So I want him to be back at 0 when he's at 0. So I'm going to go to my 0 frame, or my frame 1, and that should be centered over that. So I can do this in here by simply deleting the frame, or I can do it um, kind of visually, which is what I'm doing here. So let me just show you that on the menu. So let's say I want him to be here. Um, very easily, I can take um, my X and my Z translations because those are the things that maybe I don't want those. Maybe I want him to be here the whole time. I can just grab them and send and take them out. And then I can set these to 0 here. And then now if I were to run the animation, this is what I have. Okay. Now we have a little bit of sliding going on because since I'm removing some of those keys, there are little moments um, that have been removed that adjust for some of that. So that's why he's kind of sliding. Okay, so you have to be kind of prepared for that. Since I know that I'm not using root motion on this particular animation, him sliding is not that big of a deal. I'm not going to really see that in game from the side. From here, if I were to play this, I'm not really going to see that sliding as much, you know. If I were doing from the front, it might be a bit more of a bother, right? Well, that's unnatural. So there's always a little bit of cleanup you have to deal with. Okay. Now, if you don't want to remove the animations like that, you put those back. Do I not have that control picked? I do. Okay. Okay, so now I have my values. If I don't want to do it that way, I can do it manually, which is I gotta go in and I know that my character should roughly be here, right? And I also know that he should also be on this grid line. And I'm gonna move him this way. You can do it from the top if you want to kind of do the centering, but this is where my character should be. And then I can key this, select it, and then I can S to key it, or I can just hit key selected. So then there's that one. He's gonna jump back though, so I'm gonna have to go to each key and then manually make that change. And while that can be a pain in the butt, um, it might be what you need to do to get things the way that you want them to be for your situation. So I don't want root motion in this case. Again, I could zero those values out, but I don't know how badly the sliding issue is going to be. So I might just go in and visually make those changes. Okay. Now, how much does the height change? The height changes a little bit because you can see how the body kind of comes up and down as the legs move and the knees move, right? One of the nice things about having a switchable rig, though, so if I go and change this to, well, actually I don't have match pose, so this will just be weird. So if I change this to IK, it's just going to be a bit oddball. Um, Once I set up match pose, it'll be a lot easier because I don't have match pose configured. But that matches your pose between your IK and your FK, so you don't deal with it. But with those set up, you would just switch the one that you want, and then in that position, you'd be like, okay, well, I just need to tweak a little bit here for the leg or that for the leg. I don't have those set up right now, so it's kind of broken. So here's that. Woo! But the advantage of, so the reason why I want to do it this way visually is again, so as I'm doing this, you can see how I moved him and I put his feet on the ground, right? And then over here, because the body is moving, okay, when I go to line him up to put his feet on the ground, since I'm using the feet as a position of reference to know where that line is, then let me go ahead and just move this guy back over here. The relative change between here and there is going to be more natural. You see that? And if I get over to here, and so on. And it depends on how much of that information you need to change. Like I could strip out all this and then only deal with my starting frame, my ending frame, and then maybe a couple in between frames. Um, but I have some more. Each time I sway inside that animation, there is a pelvic rotate and translate that gets adjusted. So I'm trying to visually update that here. Okay. And of course, I have a bunch of frames out here that I have to deal with, whatever not. So what I'm going to do, just to make it faster for the video, uh, is go in and then adjust my translate Z and my translate X. And I can just take these really, and then I can move them kind of relative to themselves. Let's see how that looks here. You can see how much, so by doing them as a group like that, you can see how nice they are in this line, but when I snap them, they're very bizarre here. Let me go back a little bit. So I'll go back to before I move these 3 frames. Okay, I'll come back in here, get my X and my Z. Here is 0, right? You can see how far away from 0 they are. Let me see. That X value is really good. The Z value is a bit weird because there are so many points away from that. So let me close that. So this is my animation in time. Well, what's going on here? Let's go to this frame. Let's see how far forward I need to go. So if I were to move him to there, I should see that adjust. Like when I move these, that's why. Okay. I'm doing this in world. I need to be in objects, and that would make a difference there. So now as I'm moving this, I'm actually seeing what's relative to the arrow. And then that one, this is my Y. Let's see what happens when this gets changed. Looks like my x value. So my x in this case is affecting my up and down because I'm in a different, selection order. You can see that here as I'm moving my as I'm moving the y value of my character, it's the x value that's really changing. You switch this back to world. It's hard for me to see on the graph how far forward the character is. So I'm going to do that visually because as I'm trying to do this on the graph, I'm not really seeing the update as much. But I will have them start at 0. Ah, come here, you. All right. And now he's way over there. Now I'm able to see a more consistent update. So I can kind of grab these y values here. Yeah. So it definitely is the Y. I need to adjust. And I'll bring those down. Let's see how that is. There, now I'm able to center that up, which is really nice. Let me check the height. Let's see which one of these. I'll go to frame one again, and I'll just move in the extreme. Oh, that's really bizarre. They went opposite. All right. Now X should be the majority of my up and down. Huh. Not liking the change that I'm seeing though. All right. So when I move this down, again, I'm in world when I'm moving this, and you can see that the X value for my character, because of how I have these set, ends up being my up and down value, even though Y is typically up and down. So both of these are being affected here. Z isn't really getting a whole heck of a lot whenever I do this. You see there's no adjustment in Z whatsoever. But for the X and the Y, I'm getting a little bit of a shift. But Y is way up here. X is way down there. That seems a bit bizarre. That puts a -4, but really we're not -4. That should be... Actually, it would be -4 because at 0, when all the character is fully in T-pose and all the joints are perfectly straight, that would be about -4 down. So that makes sense. Yeah. So I can take that. Can I adjust? How bad is that? And what about my left and right value? Pretty good there. Okay. I'm just going to visually move this cluster down to around -4 because it seemed to be the good position. And so they should be pretty consistent relative to each other at this point. Nice. So I've got that leveled out. And then what I can do for my starting and ending frame, of course, I'll save this. For my starting frame and my ending frame. Well, how about this? We start at 1 and we go good spacing, good spacing, good spacing, and then we have this little weird spacer there. So 1 and 81 are kind of a bit off. It looks like 1 and 60. Actually, it looks more like, because right here at 1, I'm very much in a more relaxed, kind of sunk into my stance pose. And then once I get warmed up into the first motion, which happens right around like 50, 52, I kind of sweep back. So I would probably be better off finding a more central motion. So when I do the idle, I do about a count of 8 just so I can find a good one. And I picked one in the very beginning. One in the middle would have been better for this, but you get the idea. So I'm looking for a good spot to match um, with the next position. So 1 and 60 is too big of a jump. And then 1 to 81 is still a big jump. Yeah, you can totally see how much the difference is in the pose. But you would take, assuming, let's say I wanted these two frames to match, right? What I would do is I would select all the things that matter for that. So I'll get this selection, and then I'll also select those head pieces because they're part of this. If I were better, I would make a selection set for the head as well. So I'll get all those, right? And what I'll do, and this sometimes breaks, which is why I saved it, I will select what I want, and then I will copy, and then I will go to where I need to be, and then I will paste over that. So let's go ahead and just delete what is currently there. and then I will just paste. All right. So now my first frame and my ending frames are identical. Now you can see the interpolation is a bit forced. It does force the interpolation because they're that far apart from each other. If I were to pick a section where I have a closer motion, it would be better. But that's how that will look. So let's see. What if I pick somewhere around 20, 25, and then I worked that back? No. Starting and then ending and then starting again. Yeah, I just don't have enough animation data here. I'd have to go back to the to earlier. But yeah, this is the gist of it. You'd pick it, and then you try to line it up with something that has a similar position from here to there. You see, they're just so far apart as far as how relatively close they are. Now, what I might be able to get away with is this. Let me go back to, yeah, before I copied that. And I'm looking for a spot that would be good. I don't think I'm going to find one though. They're just so far apart. I can do the opposite though. I can copy this one into here, but that's probably going to be equally forced. It does not appreciate that at all. It did not like that at all. It totally ripped the whole evaluation. It's funny. But yeah, anyway, that's the gist of it. Anyway, um, hopefully if you go through this, you'll find something useful in this video. I try to do a little bit more streaming just for the sake of uh, having some time on here that you guys can see kind of unscripted, me fumbling around and messing with things. I'm not perfect, you know, and I'd much rather you see me work through a problem and maybe it be useful to you later than to always have an immediate answer because I don't always have an immediate answer. You know, sometimes learning how to think through a problem is more beneficial than getting the answer right away. So anyway, I'm gonna hop off and hopefully you guys will see me on the next one. So see ya.